Have you ever wondered if George Janko made the right decision leaving Impulsive? Well, witnessing the slow decline of Impulsive had me thinking if George made the right decision. Should he have left? What would things look like if George had chosen to stay? We're going to explore all of that in this video, but for those who don't know why George left Impulsive, I'm going to try and give you the quickest summary of all of the events that led up to George's departure. You see, being in that third guest spot on Impulsive has always been a very tough spot, and it's one that many few have actually mastered. So when George stepped up to take the place of the former co-host at the time, it's fair to say that there was some apprehension. As time went on, fans would begin to like George, seeing him as adding a different dynamic to the show as his personality contrasted with Logan and Mike's. But all of that would change with the occurrence of three key events that would contribute to George's downwards trajectory on the show. Those being George getting completely obliterated by Shaq, which was probably a huge knock to his confidence.
Hold on, you ain't gonna ask me a question? Oh, damn.
He waits. He likes to wait until he's got the
Bro, you
question.
tapped me in play mode and I broke my hand. What happens if I ask the wrong question and you punch me? I'm just
You
taking.
wear short shorts.
I'm telling you,
Jeez.
they're making a resurgence.
You know what? Hold on, I might as well just
I don't
pull
even
my shit
think.
up.
Listen, man, I read the Bible a lot when they talk about David and Goliath. I've never seen a giant, and so like I'm literally just I'm a little taken.
You've been sitting over here for 30 minutes and that's all you can freaking say? Fucking kidding me.
No, he's not gonna say
That's the
shit.
question. Jeez.
I
Hold
got
on,
back
he-
in the game.
He's your partner?
He's the newest.
You might want to give him his 2-week notice. That's the question, dude.
Honestly-
Jeez.
Logan picking on George for his religious beliefs.
Give an example of
One that
you're
really
saying.
hurt me is you told me I need a therapist because I believe in Jesus.
No,
that
I
one
didn't.
hurt me.
No, I didn't. I said you need a therapist because Jesus isn't quite doing it for you.
I
believe
checked
in
you and I said,
Jesus?
"What did you just say to me?" And you said, "What did I say?" And you stumbled. And you're like, "I don't know. What would I say?"
No,
and then
no, no.
you fumbled. I'm not backing down from
It
this.
is common knowledge that you don't interpret reality like reality happens.
Mhm.
Jesus isn't doing it for you, and I
what do
believe
I need
you're.
a therapist for?
I don't believe you're as emotionally mature as you could be
Then what do I need Jesus for? I mean, what do I need a therapist for?
to get you to level up
In what?
yourself.
In what category? So when you think George needs a therapist, what category am I falling under?
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional. Me.
Yes.
And the infamous moment where George stormed off the Bobby Lee podcast.
What am I going to be doing if this doesn't happen?
Because it's not real.
I'm
future is
stressing
not
about
real.
A mirage. And for me to like, dude, like I didn't even know I was going to be with my best friends doing a podcast where, and I don't mean this in a cocky way, but like, dude, this put me on a very strong map and it made a lot of my avenues blow up. So I'm
It's
very
like
blessed, but I didn't know I was going to be here. So
It's
for
like
me-
that's. You done? It was just a long monologue.
He was just waiting.
And let me just say something. I loved what you were saying. It was just very long. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
usually
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
That's usually.
But you know, I got what you're saying, and you really inspired me, George.
I hate comedians.
No, I want to say something.
Sebastian sucked, left me on red.
Yeah.
You
Can I-
suck. First of all, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Do not
Okay,
touch
my
me.
Bad, my bad.
Thank you.
All right, but yeah, we just need writers to edit that down.
He is clocked out.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
he's-
I know.
George has been under a tremendous amount of abuse.
No,
No, stop, George. I want you over here with me. George, I want you over here with me. Chase him down. Go. You find him. George, no, go get him.
Cut a very long story short, with tensions rising between the two hosts, George made the decision to step down. So did George make the right call in leaving Impulsive? Yes, I think he did. Picture a time where you felt like you were forced to be somewhere where you didn't feel comfortable or welcome. If you're one of those people who stayed, then you'll know from first-hand experience, it usually ends in disaster, right? It usually ends pretty bad. So if George had stayed, we'd probably see a very unhappy, lifeless version of himself, whose confidence would have plummeted even further. And that's what we could have seen if George had decided to stay. I think it's important to mention that if George had stayed, we probably would have seen a continuation of guests jumping on the pod, mocking and teasing George. And I hear some of you saying, oh well, he's had his stint in stand-up comedy, so surely he should be able to take any joke that's thrown at him. And you're right, but only to an extent. You see, constantly being the butt of the joke is never fun. It's a pretty sad existence when you stop and think about it. And when people are treated like this for long enough, that's when we get those Michael Douglas falling down moments. If you know, you know. Comment down below if you've actually seen that movie. As a kid, I never really understood it, but now I'm older, oh boy, I understand it. But the point is, I think this could have spelled further disaster for George, as guests going onto the show would have likely seen the Bobby Lee and Shaq clips, and they could use this as further justification to mock George. I mean, surely Bobby and Shaq would have set the example for that, right? And I don't know what would stop guests from engaging in that type of behavior. Maybe it's the goodness of their hearts, but I'd still question that. We could have very easily seen George become the comic relief, as that's the standard that would have been set by other guests. And once somebody is informally assigned that position, it is very hard to break out of it. Trust me, I know from second-hand experience, because it was somebody else, not me, so that makes it second-hand. I think it does. Anyway, you get the point. The point is, it was not me, it was somebody else. But seeing George being picked on so frequently would have been incredibly hard to watch, or it could have been really enjoyable, as I know some of you just love seeing people suffer. I know you're watching. You know who you are. But if George had stayed at Impulsive, I don't think he would have been able to accomplish what he's done so far. I mean, so far he has his own podcast that seems to be going pretty well for him. And most importantly, George just seems to be happy.
I'm in the most happiest place I've ever been in my life.
Really?
Yeah, bro. When I was on Impulsive, I always tell people, I'm like, I want to be as happy as I was when I was working at Five Guys. I was just working at a 9 to 5, and I was just so excited about life. I never was stressed. I was never scared. I found my true happiness.
Yeah.
Earlier we mentioned that Bobby Lee was one of the catalysts that caused George to leave. So if you want to hear more about Bobby Lee, including the time he got beaten up by Ari Shaffir and how this has led to people hating Ari, then click the video in the top right. Oh, and I almost forgot, do not forget to subscribe. We're on that road to 250 subs. You know what to do. And lastly, for those who have stayed to the very end, I need your help. This light in the back, on or off? I really don't know. So let me know down below. If you want it off, I'll switch it off. If not, I'll keep it on. Okay, bye-bye.